Hey guys, welcome back to Pistons Talk Podcast. Excuse the delay, technical difficulties on my end. Do apologize for that. But we are joined by a very special guest. I feel like I can't call you a dual beat reporter anymore because it seems like you're covering like four teams. But it's like doing Tiger stuff, then Michigan State stuff, Lions, Pistons. Like you're a busy guy, so I do appreciate you coming on, Kory. Welcome back to the show, man.
Man, thanks a lot for having me, man. You over here looking like you chopped and screwed, like you're a record.
Man, like I don't know what's going on. So if there is a delay, I do apologize. Um, Sometimes my internet's good, sometimes it's bad. I don't know what's going on, but we're gonna try to get through this show with no technical difficulties. But
It's cool as long as everybody else willing to rock out with it. Hey, so can I? I'm with it. Let's go.
so I wanted to kind of recap the preseason with you. They played 5 games, had a winning record, 3-2. Wanted to kind of get like your 30,000-foot view of the preseason from like game 1 to game 5.
Well, first off, my overall thoughts on the preseason is that JB Bickerstaff, in my opinion, I believe he has a true pulse of this team. Just off of the way that these guys have been communicating with each other, the energy that we're able to see after the practices, the warm-ups, the interactions before and after, and even during the games. I think that JB Bickerstaff really has the pulse of this unit. There were a couple of instances throughout even just yesterday's game where I saw he was pulling players aside, like Marcus Sasser at several points during the game, just giving him teaching moments, but also it appeared to be encouraging him as well. And it appeared that Sasser was very receptive. I believe also too that another great thing about this preseason is we're seeing how much the veterans have added to this roster. And the veterans I'm talking about is Tobias Harris, Malik Beasley, and even Tim Hardaway Jr. has some shooting struggles. But again, these guys have been very active and very vocal with this young group. And this is not me saying this just pulling it out of thin air. These are what the players are saying. This is what Cade Cunningham is saying. What Jalen Duran, with Jaden Ivey, they're saying that these vets that they brought in have been more vocal than the previous ones. I believe I posted about it on Twitter, and I mean, it did come up during the game. I want to say it was during the was it the Suns game? No, it wasn't. It was either the Suns game or the Bucks game. There was a point during I want to say it was the Bucks game because I believe that was on ESPN. There was a point where you saw Malik Beasley and Cade have an interaction, but that's not the one I was talking about. It was right near the free throw line. Beasley kind of signaled Cade over to him, and they kind of laughed about something a little bit. But then Beasley was just instructing him, showing like pointing to the floor, just doing a lot of hand movement. And all you didn't see Cade like kind of going back and forth with him. You saw Cade nodding his head. This is Cade's team, and he has a veteran pulling him to the side, telling him stuff, and he's nodding his head and agreeing, and just saying, "Okay, I got you." That right there, to me, is the sign of a unit that is looking to grow and improve. We don't really know where they're going to go with the rotations. I got an idea, but we don't really know where they're going to go with the rotations yet. But the way that Bickerstaff has utilized these guys, building a relationship with them, instilling some discipline at the practice facility while still letting these guys be themselves, which is a real goal of his. So far, so good. If that translates over into the regular season and some wins, that's what you want. But this is the way they're operating, the way they're maneuvering right now. This is pretty much the rebuild, the growing pains that people were going to wanted to see from this team moving forward.
Yeah, I do agree with you on that point. Like, I've been doing post-game podcast recaps of every game, and the one thing that I've noticed is consistent is the communication and the coaching end. To your point last night, JB Bickerstaff, because Marcus Sasser had a kind of like a bad game the Manning, the second unit. He had 5 assists on 4 turnovers. You also saw Jarrett Jack. If you're watching on TV, Jarrett Jack was spending a lot of time with him, kind of like pointing him in the areas where he needs to improve. But I think this coaching staff is spending a lot of time with these young guys, and that's what they need. They need guidance. And to your point, like I know exactly what play you're talking about with like Malik Beasley, because they did show it on TV when it was on ESPN of him kind of just like, give me the ball there because I know I can hit that shot. And I think the one thing that I noticed is Cade Cunningham can actually kick it out to the corner and not have to worry if Tobias is there, he's probably going to hit it. If Malik Beasley is there, he's probably going to hit it. I know Tim Hardaway Jr. had a really tough preseason shooting the ball, but I don't expect him to go like 2 for 21. I've told people like when he's hot, and you know this is the lowest point of Tim Hardaway. Like if you can deal with him not hitting threes and not really putting too much on the scoreboard, but still showing that he's a plus defender out there. I think these vets are really going to help these young guys grow and develop and try to get back into that postseason picture maybe.
Yeah, kind of went modulate a little bit on there, but we'll figure it out. Tim Hardaway Jr., this is the lowest he's going to be going into that last game. He was 3 for 21. And again, but here's the thing, though. The shot wasn't falling. But I even asked JB Bickerstaff about that. What are you going to do when you have a veteran like Tim Hardaway Jr. when his shot is not falling? And he said that, look, if your shot's not falling, we're not going to pull you off of the court for that, because what else can you do for us? Are you being a good teammate? Are you swinging the ball around? Are you playing defense? If you're not doing all of those things on top of your shot not falling, yeah, we're not going to play you. But you still see that Tim Hardaway Jr. is out there giving it everything that he has. And he was able to finally go ahead and get one of them shots to fall yesterday. And I think he'll just go ahead and get out that shooting slump because, again, they still have Fred Vincent in the building. We've seen what Fred Vincent has done with Jaden Ivey so far. I mean, even though I know it's preseason and people don't really have that much of a – they don't try to put too much on preseason, but even compared to his previous ones, Jaden Ivey is shooting the ball at a clip that we haven't seen from him before. And he's putting in the work after every practice with Vincent, with Jared Jack, with Kevin Burleson. So, I mean, but all of those guys are. So, don't worry about THJ too much. But, I mean, this team right now, I'm not going to throw too much on it. But, again, they look really good. And gotta credit a lot of that to JB and the culture he's trying to instill and the staff he's brought over.
Yeah, the vibes definitely feel different with this team. It feels so much different from last season, and I'll just kind of leave it at that. I don't want to go too much into it, but just the whole overall feel watching this team seems like they're having fun, more energetic, and you're cheering for one another. That's what I kind of saw in the 5 preseason games so far. I did kind of want to transition. I want to know, Kory, who is your MVP? Of the preseason.
Y'all ready for this one? My MVP of the preseason is Ron Holland. Reason I say that, the things that I've seen from him, it wasn't scoring the ball, because we're talking about scoring the ball. You got to go with somebody like Fontecchio. I mean, Fontecchio, he's been playing solid, and last night he was just lights out. But Ron Holland is. It was a lot of unknowns when they picked him, especially because you have a guy like Asar Thompson, and not saying they're the player, but they have similarities to them. So if you think that's fair to say. And one thing you've seen from Ron Holland is that he's just a pure hooper on both sides of the ball. He is aggressive. Sometimes the shot wasn't falling, but even if the shot wasn't falling, he was actively looking to get teammates involved in the offense. He's out there playing hard on defense, hustling for rebounds, trying sizing guys up one-on-one, diving for loose balls, fighting with vets for loose balls. I mean, this is what you want to see from a guy that is trying to get on the court. This is what you're trying to see from a team that is trying to get some type of identity, to go back to the identity that this franchise once had. I'm actually doing an article in this. I mean, a lot of times, the Detroit Lions are getting credit for grit, but if you really want to be honest about it, grit kind of started with the Detroit Pistons. It was just under a different name. We called it blue collar. So
Yeah.
to have a guy like Ron Holland, get out there and just make the most of his minutes. Yesterday he played the second. Him and Dennis Jenkins, they tied for the most minutes of the guys on the court yesterday. Just to see him make the most of his minutes and just be an all around hustle player. That's my MVP of the season. We know what Cade can do. We know what Jaden Ivey is capable of. So I don't want to give him the MVP because we know what he's capable of if things go the right way. But to see what you got out of your number 5 pick that early, got to give it to him.
Yeah, Ron cracked me up against the Suns. Like Damian Lee basically gave him like a Kurt Angle like superplex into the bench. And then he was scrapping with Royce O'Neal. Like he would not let the ball go to the point where the Suns announcer saying that like he needs a boxing ring theme song when he comes into the game because he's just he's toughness, he's blue collar. To your point, like I'm not mad at your pick because his impact defensively, you felt it every single game. Every time he checked in, immediately they were, locking people up, the defense, the energy, everything was just more like when you kind of looked at it and you looked at him on the court, everyone around him started like playing defense. It was kind of infectious having a rookie like that defend his ass off, going through 50 pick and rolls, taking on centers, point guards, like just his energy and his effort. I absolutely loved. I personally had Jaden Ivey because I did not see him shooting 50% from 3. And I kind of owe him an apology because I've been very crucial on him and very hard on him because I didn't really know what to expect going into the season. And obviously it's preseason. I think some people kind of overreact to it, but we talk about Fred Vincent. They brought in Fred Vincent to work with the SAR and Ron Holland, but you could say Jaden Ivey is benefiting the most out of having Fred Vincent in the building so far.
Oh, absolutely. Like I said, I see it after practices. He's putting after every practice leaves I've seen in more times than not. You will see Jaden Ivey working with Fred Vincent on the shot, perimeter drills, catch and shoot drills, 1 dribble pull-ups, 2 dribble pull-ups. You see those guys working on it extensively. And it goes to also a credit to Bickerstaff too, is just like Bickerstaff believes in Jaden Ivey's potential. I'm not going to say anything else about all the other stuff that kind of, floats out there, but Bickerstaff has been openly believing in his potential, and he's openly encouraging Jaden Ivey to become the player that everybody believes he can be when the Pistons took him at number 5 overall. And now that you have Ivey's confidence built up, and you have a coach that's confident with them, and you have a coaching staff that is doing their best to make him into that player. Right now, you're just seeing what is pretty much probably the beginning of a coming out party. We don't know if this obviously at some point, the way that he's shooting right now, it has to regulate when you go into the regular season. But if you're able to get Ivey somewhere around that 45, let's just say 44. If you can get Ivey between that 44, 46-ish, 7-ish percent range, let's just say 44, 46. You get him somewhere around there and then get him hovering somewhere around 35%, 36% from the 3. That's a heck of a jump. And that would definitely help this Pistons team. So it's going to be interesting to see a Jaden Ivey now going into his 3rd year with a staff that is doing their best to make him achieve his greatness, and he's comfortable with it.
Yeah, I like his jump because I think the one thing with him has always been if he can get a consistent jump shot, this backcourt could work. And I think the way that they're using him And it's kind of funny because they played the Cavs last night. They're kind of using him in a Donovan Mitchell role, if you will. Like they're just kind of letting him do his thing out there. They're staggering him with Kate Cunningham, letting him, man the second unit.
Which is so smart.
Yeah. I think it's the right approach with Jaden Ivey because there's ways you can use him where he's effective, and we didn't really get to see that last year. And to your point, we're not going to kind of like go down that rabbit hole with that. But the way JB has been using these guys, I think it's a lot of Pistons fans are just so happy that we got a coach that wants to uplift our young talent, not kind of have them just sit on the bench and learn that way.
Yeah, absolutely. The guys you can just see right now, they're having fun playing basketball. And I believe that's kind of what they kind of got away from that last season. I want to say it's, and this is even with all due respect to this guy, because I still think he had a raw hand to deal with in Detroit. But I'll say the vibe at practice now kind of reminds me of an upgraded version of the vibe after a Dwayne Casey practice. It's just I would say guys are probably putting in a little bit more work because, I mean, again, now you're talking about coming off of a 14-68 season and everything has to change. But it does remind me, it does give me feelings of that post-Casey vibe, post-practice vibe from a Casey practice, but just with the uptick of working out, developing and working on your game, so to say.
Yeah, it's good to see that they have a coach in there that's taking it seriously and that it isn't, just here for the money, basically. But I'll just leave it at that. Now, we did talk about the MVP of the preseason. I want to know who was kind of, in your opinion, the most underwhelming player you thought that could have had a better preseason, but they didn't.
I don't know whether it's you or me. Might be on my end because I think you're moving pretty good on the other one. But I believe you were asking who do I think underperformed the most. And is that correct?
Yeah, that's correct.
I mean, I think I believe the obvious answer is it has to be Tim Hardaway Jr. I mean, just the shot just was not there throughout the entire preseason, and it's something that you're hoping will kind of figure itself out over the first 5 or 6 games, because they have another brutal stretch this year to start the season. So you're hoping that kind of finds itself and regulates itself out. And also, again, to JB Bickerstaff's point, he said, look, shooting is mental. They're not going to get in guys' way. They're just going to try to help them get to where they need to get to. I don't want to throw him in there. No, I'm not going to throw him in there. I will say the only other person I would say underperformed, but I don't really want to say underperformed because I saw a lot from him that I really, really did like. If you want to throw Malik Beasley out there, you could, but it really doesn't stick. I think with Malik is just that, for me, I wanted to see more of him, getting more touches, but I don't think that was really like indicative on him or like anybody else. I think they're just trying to figure some things out with this offense, get some different looks with some guys. So I don't want to throw him out there too much, but I did think that I was going to be able to see a little bit more from Beasley. I was hoping to see a little bit more from Beasley, but I think we're going to see that over the season because, I mean, he's shown that he can go ahead and when he's off the catch and shoot, he's shown that he's a solid performer in that regard. So I'm looking forward to seeing what he does this season.
Yeah, I think the 2 players that I had were Tim Hardaway Jr. and when I made this lower third last night, Simone Fontecchio, but he went out and dropped 18 points and looked like it was his old self. But before last night's game, he was kind of, to me, I was just like, it's the leg still hurting him because he did have surgery in the offseason, but it was good to see him bounce back. I think you could probably say Tim Hardaway Jr., Marcus Sasser to an extent. And the Sasser thing, I'll just say, I don't necessarily think he underperformed. I just think they're trying to play him out of position. I don't think he's an everyday point guard. And I think the sooner the Pistons realize that he's more of just like a Lou Williams type, the better it'll be for him, because
Yeah,
there are instances where, like, he's just making, like, I don't want to say bad passes, but like the processing, it just isn't there yet. And learning the point guard position is a very hard position to learn. But I would probably say THJ, and I don't really expect him to shoot 10% from three going into the season. I think just shake off all the rust now, and going into the season, and start hitting 35% from three. That something that he's accustomed to throughout his career so far.
yeah, you could definitely make a good. You definitely can argue Sasser. I think right now Sasser's just in a. I don't want to say he's in a difficult spot, but I'll just say that again. I think they're just trying to work some things out in this offense. And Sasser just he has some struggles. He has some struggles too. Also during the summer league that I thought was kind of like rather interesting. But I believe these guys are going to work it out over these next couple of practices before the home opener versus the Pacers. But yeah, THJ, that's the one that was the obvious for me. I said Beasley too, just a small degree, just because I thought they would have involved him a little bit more in offense and maybe could have knocked down a couple more shots. But again, Beasley, you know what you're getting with him anyway. He's a streaky guy. When he's cold, he's cold. But when he's on fire, he's on fire.
Yeah, I'm glad me and you called that like last January. We were talking about Malik Beasley, and then he signed. So got to bring that up when I can, when I do have you on, because I didn't really see too many other beat reporters until like June, like talk about it, and we were talking about it in January. But happy that Malik Beasley is here in Detroit. So I kind of want to get back into JB Bickerstaff, and something that I think a lot of people have been talking about are his rotations. So I want to know, what have you thought of his rotations during the preseason?
I thought I think the starting unit. Hold on, you kind of echoed out. What was the last part you said?
What did you just think of JB Bickerstaff's rotations during the preseason?
I still think they have some things they got to kind of figure out with that second unit. Just having the right mix and the right fit on the floor. That's also another guy which I thought we could have wished I want to see a lot more running with that second unit is Paul Reed. So wanted to see, that's the second unit. They probably got to work some things out with that. As far as that starting one, I think as long as they keep that backcourt of Ivy. I like the backcourt of Ivy and Cunningham starting. I like Beasley in there. I like, Cade, let me see, hold on. I like Tim Hardaway Jr.'s defense a little bit more than Beasley, but you got to start Beasley for that shooting. You definitely need him in there. And then, of course, you're going to have Harris and Duran up front. So I like that. I like that mix to kind of like, get things going. But the second unit, they got to kind of figure that one out. I don't know if they're going to start. I don't know. That's the thing, though. I don't know who they're going to start on the day one. Whether THJ will get the nod, or whether Beasley would get the nod. Like I said, I would go with Beasley just because of the scoring, the fact that you have Cade out there running the show, or if Ivy out there running the show, you got a guy that can go ahead and hit the open shot. Two guys that can go and hit open shots, because Tobias Harris, he's shown that. He's never been a big guy, but even now he looks a little bit slimmer. Got both of those guys can catch and shoot from beyond the arc pretty well. I think that's the guy that has to be the day one lineup. But as far as that second unit, it's a lot of questions.
Yeah, I thought the only question mark with the starting lineup was the small forward position, because you saw Tim Hardaway out there, and then you saw Malik Beasley out there. I personally thought Simone was going to get the nod, which I was kind of surprised by, and we'll kind of get into that a little bit later. But I thought overall the starting unit looked good. It's just, I think the bench is probably going to be the hardest thing to assess for JB, because they don't really have a backup point guard. You saw Jaden Ivey out there at times being staggered with Cade Cunningham being that backup guard, and I know, the season openers next Wednesday. Maybe they go and address a backup point guard need because they still do have a standard contract available and they have cap space available as well. I don't know if they go out and reach out to a Markel Fultz or a reunion with Dennis Smith Jr., but I think that's going to be the biggest question mark for me going into the season if they don't address it.
Yeah, absolutely. Hold on. This I apologize. It's got to be my connection because I look on the other end, on the other part of the YouTube, and you're moving fine. So it's got to be something with my connection as far as me being able to see you, because it's like I'm hearing like part of your words, and I'm like, oh man, it's kind of throwing me off a little bit. I feel bad, but I'm gonna go ahead and rock out with it. You said what?
I can hear you. We can hear you fine over here. I guess I thought it was my internet connection.
I can't hear you, but we gonna make. Oh, that's the crazy part. You can hear me well. The one thing I will say though that I have some questions about is what is this? I'm curious about what this rotations are going to look like once Star Thompson gets cleared. Hopefully, for his sake, that everything is okay with him health wise, and he's going to go ahead and be able to get cleared soon. But when he gets cleared and he's ready to, be inserted into the lineup, what is this going to look like? Does Asar come off the bench? Does he, if he's healthy and ready to go, does he start? And Beasley and THJ coming off the bench, what if at some point throughout mid season, Ron Holland is so undeniable that you have to go ahead and try to maybe figure out some creative ways to kind of insert him into the offense, whether you put him at the 3 or move him to the 4 or move Tobias to the 3, because Tobias to me is still naturally a 3. So, whether you kind of, mix it up like that. But I mean, right now, I would say with a coach that wants to develop these young guys that they already have a good rapport with right now, it's a good problem to have. But I believe when we have the real questions about this rotation and what we're gonna kind of figure out about it is when Asar Thompson gets healthy. And I haven't heard anything yet. He's around. He was definitely in the building yesterday. I mean, last night. It seems like everybody changed their hair for this game going into the season. Maybe some new look newbie type thing. But yeah, because Asar was braided up. So yeah, when he gets back healthy, you're gonna get a real chance to see what it looks like. Right now, it's kind of seeming like it's been a thing for Pistons coaches the past couple of seasons. They haven't been able to really see their real rotations or out the gate because guys have been injured or out with some type of illness.
Yeah, it'll be interesting to keep an eye on in the second unit. I did kind of want to stay with, with rotations. Was there a rotation during preseason that you wanted to see, but it didn't happen?
Nah, there wasn't one. I think that was the starting rotation. I wanted to see was how would they fit Malik Beasley into this unit if possible, and they were able to. So that was it for me. If Asar Thompson was healthy, I would have liked to see Asar being able to run out at that 3 spot instead of Malik Beasley, and have Malik Beasley come off in somewhat of what a 6-man row, because again, Beasley is good. He helps with the offense, but Asar is like that Swiss Army knife. The shot still kind of funky. Shot's not there, but he does everything else well. And the thing about Asar too is that if just because he can't shoot it that well last season doesn't mean that he can't score it. He's proven that he can go ahead and go get 2 points with the best of them. So I would like to see him get out there at that starting unit because I believe that is the unit that will take this team from a 14-win team to a 28-ish, 30-ish win team. It sounds even then right now, just going off the Pistons histories, it sounds kind of bad to say 28, 30 wins is a jump. When you're coming off a 14-win season, it's a positive. So that's the group I want to see out there.
Yeah, we actually have some breaking news, but it's not Piston news. Looks like Kawhi Leonard's going to be sidelined indefinitely. So Shams just reported that. Don't know
So
what's
what?
going on. I guess Kawhi's going to be out. He's going to be sidelined indefinitely.
Oh
Just got a
wow.
ESPN thing from Shams. So no Kawhi for a little bit. Can't say I'm surprised.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Sounds about right. It's sad, but
yeah.
wow. Let me
I
go ahead and type
mean,
that out real quick.
yeah, you got Paul George who had a really nasty injury, and then you got Kawhi Leonard out. I mean, maybe the Clippers were smart not giving them all that money because they'd be in the Cooper Flag sweepstakes if that was the case. Man,
Yeah.
that's crazy. I did kind of want
That's
to
a crazy
transition.
injury history.
It is. I did want to transition because we were talking about the play and we're talking about playoffs. After kind of watching this preseason, do you think this could be a team that competes for that play-in spot this season?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah, but I definitely believe this is a team that competes for the NBA play-in tournament. Absolutely. I mean, they have the tools. Kay Cunningham, you saw last year. Kay Cunningham to me can be a 20-10 player. I don't care. Or if you want to say 20-10 is too much, how about this? Kay Cunningham can be a 24/7 guy. I believe he's that type of player. I believe Jaden Ivey could be somewhere near a 20 point, 19, 20 point game type player. You're bringing in a Tobias Harris who has proven he can put the ball in the hoop, and now he's going to have more opportunities to score because he doesn't have to play with somebody like a Joel Embiid or a Tyrese Maxey. So he's going to get more touches in this offense as well. Jalen Duren, I believe he's going to be the wild card scoring wise, but as long as he just goes ahead and cleans the glass, gets his putbacks, plays above the rim, I believe he's good for about maybe 12, 14 points, maybe 15-ish. If he's able to knock down his free throws. They have the makings of a play-in type team, and now you have a solid bench as well. They could definitely trend towards being a play-in team. Whether they actually become one, that remains to be seen. We got to see how these. There's a lot of shaking up, a little bit of shaking up in the offseason, so we got to see how some things play out. But I mean, there are they could be definitely be this year's sleeper team, and I believe they will be one.
I think the one player, the biggest X factor for me, if they want to make the play-in, is Jalen Duren. I know a lot of people focus on Cade and Jaden Ivey,
Yeah.
but if he's protecting the rim like he was in the preseason, like he had 3 blocks against Golden State, had a nice block last night against the Cavs. I think to me, he's the biggest X factor because if you can get him to play on both sides of the ball, then this team is a lot more dangerous. And him and Cade in the pick and roll with Tobias, like that's just if you got all those guys communicating and they're just playing well together, I think this could be a team that could possibly compete for a play-in tournament.
Yeah, absolutely. I believe, yeah. But Jalen Duren is going to Jalen Duren is going to be one of the X factors in this. And two, another thing that's going to be an X factor in all of this is that bench. What is that? What is the second unit going to look like? Who's going to be the guy that's going to be leading it? I would if they get a Sar Thompson back sometime soon, and me and you talked about this, I might get my head bit off for it. If they get a Sar Thompson back sometime soon, I would also not be opposed of having Sar Thompson at the 3, Cade at the point, and then you can insert Beasley into that 2 row, and then still continue to stagger him and Ivy's minutes at that point. But I think that second unit is going to need a guy that can really get things going. And Fontecchio can shoot off the bench. THJ, I believe he's going to regulate it, but they need a spark plug. And I believe Ivy could be that spark plug just for the second unit in some cases, because They not only need a guy that's going to be able to score, they need a guy that's going to be able to run the offense. And Ivy has shown that he is a capable facilitator when given the role. I believe, I believe what game it was. I want to say it was the game at Breslin against the Suns where they started the second half, and Ivy just ran the show, and Bickerstaff said it just because he just wanted to get a look at it of him just going ahead and running the offense, and he did. They got smacked, but he did a solid job. And we've seen Ivy run the point before. So that's a again. Obviously, you want to see those two, Ivy and Cade, in the starting backcourt because I believe that's your best odds of winning. But if you kind of want to get a little bit funky and tricky to start, with creative with the rotations, I would not be opposed to seeing Ivy come off with that second unit just to get things going.
Yeah, me either. It'll be interesting to see how Ivy is used this season. It's funny when I was talking with Kuka Hill from Locked On Pistons, he actually wanted the Pistons to use Asar as a shooting guard and have a Cade and Asar backcourt, which I think could be actually kind of fun and interesting because you could still have Beasley out there at small forward if you wanted, and you could have Asar switch everything.
Yeah,
but it's gonna be interesting to see. I have one more question, then we can wrap this up because apparently one of our connections is like terrible. I don't know whose connection is. I think the talk.
Yeah, that's what I said. I feel bad for everybody. Hopefully, it's not too bad for everybody out there watching it. I don't know whether it's me or him, but my apologies on my end.
Yeah, it's all good, man. I can hear you fine. I think people that are listening right now, they said they can hear you fine. So I think the one thing I saw this week that a lot of people were clowning JB Bickerstaff for, which I don't really understand why, if they actually read the full Athletic article that they wrote, it was the no hoodies around practice or shoot around. So could you kind of elaborate what he was talking about? Because I think some people think that they can't wear headbands during games or whatever it may be.
Well, basically, it's just like it's not like first off, he said it's not a dress code. I mean, guys can wear what they want. It's just like they can't be out here like this or anything like that at practice. Like he wants like he's trying to instill a discipline in the room. So in the practice facility, so he said it's not like guys are just tucked in or whatnot. It's just that when we're practicing, it's hey, we're gonna look the same. We're not all about to be all juried out and everything like that. We're gonna conduct it like a place of business. And that's really, and the thing is, it's nothing wrong with that because look, okay, they can't wear hoodie or jewelry at practices, but I'm gonna tell you right now, I've heard that playlist when they're practicing. The playlist, the stuff they're able to listen to, I have not heard that in previous practices. So I think them being able to have their own playlist of what they want to have, I think that might make up for not having the hoodies and the jewelry.
I'll take your word for it because I've been around like shoot around
because
when the DJs.
Because some teams. Oh, go ahead. You're kind of modulating. What'd you say?
Oh no, it's all good. You were kind of talking about how they get to listen to music that they weren't able to listen to in previous years.
Oh yeah, because I mean, some of that stuff, back then was, let's say, either the clean versions or it wasn't played at all. Like when they're working out, they get the it's whatever. But like on the the post practice or the shoot around, there was no music being played like that. I mean, it was, not to that extent, but now, oh man, it's a party.
That's good to hear.
They're still working. I have to be real. They're still working. It's just that it's no clean versions of the music.
I think that's actually like huge, and maybe it kind of goes like unseen because like if you can't play like a song that you like and you want to work out to, and you have to play like the clean version, like everyone knows like you have a favorite song, and the explicit version is 10 times better than the clean version. You can't get hype when you're working out with the clean version because it's like beeps or like a clean word.
Right,
So
exactly.
It's cool that JB definitely has let them kind of just like be themselves and work out. But it's funny because like towards the end of the game, I don't know if you saw it, Tim Hardaway Jr. was the only player that had his hood up towards the end of the game.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of people are just like laughing at that.
Yeah, Tim was a guy that don't play about his music either. I seen him yesterday, during the shoot around. He went to the team DJ like, hey, turn it up. We can't hear it. The guys take their music seriously.
Well, I don't want to take up too much of your time because I know you're busy. I know you told me you got class later, which congratulations, man. I saw that you're doing really well in college, and it's really cool to see you, still, cover the Pistons and still go to college. And I know how hard you work, so I appreciate your time on here, man, today.
Yeah, I'm actually in oh man, thank you. I'm actually in the library at Michigan right now, so I'm kind of wondering, like, man, is it y'all bad internet that's making this all choppy?
It might be, man, but do you have anything you want to promote or plug that you're working on right now?
Yeah, it's good. I'm hoping to have it up by Saturday. I really probably shouldn't tip my hand on this one, but hey, let's have some fun with it. On Saturday, I'm hoping to drop this report where I've been talking to JB Bickerstaff, a couple of players, just about the culture change and where the certain things that they've installed inside the facility, where they got it from, what sparked it. And I'm hoping to have that up by Saturday. This is going to be one I'm trying to, I'm not saying I don't work hard on anything that I post, but this one I'm trying to make sure I get the right information because I want to go through this with a fine tooth comb, and I think people will really enjoy it.
Oh, can't wait to read it. We got people in here that want you to get that athletic job.
When we hey man, I'm good at it. M Live has treated me really, really well, but I appreciate people just thinking highly of me and wanting me to go to places. But I give you a heads. I will give you a sneak peek of what I'm working on as far as that piece though. Just a Pistons Talk exclusive though.
I appreciate it, man. I appreciate it. But we're gonna wrap this up, you guys, because I don't know if it's my connection or maybe it's the library connection at Michigan's, but we'll probably have the podcast audio out today. I'm definitely going to be editing this podcast audio. I already know it, but we'll see you guys next week. Appreciate you guys coming on in. I got over 200 of you guys at 3 o'clock in the afternoon. So shout out to you guys. You guys just make this job so fun, but we'll see you guys next week, you guys. Peace.